I never thought that I would be so excited to talk about auto glass, but I am. And I think one of the reasons is the guy that we're going to have on the show wears costumes while he installs auto glass.
So you're
and he's been to your house.
Glass installing cosplayers.
I don't think he's a cosplayer. I think it works great for Instagram, and that's how I found him. He was wearing a tuxedo, and then it became a chipmunk or something. And I've never seen a glass installer be entertaining. And Andrew Weaver from SoCal Auto Glass Kings seems to be that guy. And from what I understand, Holman, he just paid you a visit.
You found him, and I just so happened to need my glass replaced on the Wrangler. And it kind of sucks because I had my Wrangler for 2 days, and I was in Utah in a 75-mile-an-hour sandstorm where big rigs in front of me were tipping over on two wheels going down the highway, and it was like being sandblasted. And my brand new multi-expensive dollar Jeep.
Wait, did you just call it a multi-expensive dollar Jeep?
Multi-expensive $1,000 Jeep was completely pitted on the way home. And I've said it before, I thought the Jeep was toast. And it turns out that the Expel saved my paint job and saved my Jeep. Did not save my windshield, though. And I've been driving around for a year and a half with a windshield that looks like you're looking through a bunch of crushed diamonds. Mm-hmm. And I just got tired of it. And my friends at Mopar said, hey, you really should try the Gorilla Glass out. And they sent me one. And so it's been sitting at the dealership for 6 months or something. And our friend Mike Rice just left.
At a certain point.
So he goes, hey, dude, you need to get your auto glass.
I was going to say, doesn't it get like absorbed like a wound? It just like goes back into the dealership if you leave it there too long?
So he brought it by, and it's been sitting on my garage floor for a few weeks. I'm like, man, I got to find a glass guy. And then you said, well, you have a glass guy coming on. I'm like, do we know anything about him? And I'm like, all right, well,
I know that he dresses up in a chipmunk costume.
He didn't do that for me. He came just dressed in a polo and knocked it out, and very good quality work. And I'm happy because my windshield is like see-through again.
Did you guys bond? Because I hear he drives a Jeep too.
He pulled up in a glass Gladiator.
A glass Gladiator.
Well, it wasn't made of glass. He had glass in the back.
That would be a good.
But it's like a 5-foot bed. So normally you're going like, no, you can have everybody has an F-150 or I don't know something. But no, the Gladiator rolled up and it's all wrapped and everything. I'm like, all right, this guy's cool.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I'm excited to talk about glass. I think. What you got going on?
So this past week I went up to Monterey, and so OVR had a activation. But that's not what excites me. I mean, we had 35 overland vehicles at the Monterey Fairgrounds, and it was awesome because we did a parade lap around the whole fairgrounds, and there's all sorts of super cool high-end cars, and I'm just driving the Wrangler, and I'm like, brah, brah, and so people were like cheering and clapping, and
really?
That was fun, yeah. So anyway, I go up there, and as you know, I was in Colorado and Utah and traveling the mountains. I was out of cell phone range for like 2.5, 3 days, and I'm still recovering like hundreds of emails, so much work to do, and it's just like crap. And I always hate leaving because I don't have cell service when I'm out in these places. So I'm like, you know what? If Starlink ever came out with a small dish, I would be all over that. And then on Facebook, I see an ad for
Starlink.
Nope, I see an ad for Starlink mini case, and I'm like, Starlink mini, and I click on it. It's like, here's a hard case for storing your Starlink mini. And I'm like, what? So I go to Starlink. Sure enough, they just released a freaking Starlink mini, which is smaller than my laptop. It's like 11 by 12 or 10 by 11 or something like that. It's $50 a month for 50 gigabytes, and you can use it while driving. And it's supposed to get a little less bandwidth than the big dish, but it's made to be portable, super lightweight. The Wi-Fi router is actually built into the dish. So all you do is plug in to power, and you're done.
Really?
That's it. All self-contained. And it's tiny, right? It's like the size of my laptop. So I'm like, oh, man, should I order it?
What's the box cost?
Well, right now, the big normal size one
is that like you'd put on like a Sprinter van or a motorhome?
Your house. You put on your house.
Okay.
Whatever their full size. Some of them you can use for run. They have different versions, but it's like $5.99. They have it on sale for $2.99 at Best Buy and through Starlink and some other places. So I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. But it's $150 a month for unlimited roaming. I'm like, I don't need that much data because this is only going to be when I'm like away from data. And my cell phone's got unlimited and blah, blah, blah. The Starlink mini is only $50 for 50 gigs, and it's $1 a gig, so it's like no surprise. If I want extra, I can buy it. But the dish was like $5.99. So then I looked at it as, Well, but the payoff in 6 months, it's like half for the mini dish because it's $50 a month. So you're basically every month you save $100 over the other one. So you quickly catch up to the price. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to do it and we'll see. And there's a bunch of people like, oh, they have these giant like Starlink dishes on the tops of their Sprinter vans or their Jeeps or their Raptors. They use them in Baja.
They're like 36-inch discs.
But they're huge.
Yeah.
And it looks like you have a wing on the top. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. The mini, I ordered the mini, and I'm like, I gotta find a mount. Well, it turns out, so a couple people that I know, so Matt Dunshee, he's like from the Raptor Runs, and then Greg Fouts from Fouts Motorsports. Apparently, they started this little company called High Speed Mounts. So they made a mini mount, and it's able to be used on the T-slots on my Rhino rack. So I went through all my hardware, and I'm like, I have the hardware to mount it. Call them up. I'm like, I think I sent them an email, and I didn't even realize who they were. And we found out that we all knew each other like later. So I bought the mount, put it on, put the mini on it. Dude, that thing is like life-changing.
Really?
Dude, so everybody's like, oh, it's going to suck while you're moving.
Do you need to be able to see like the southern sky?
No, well, they ideally you want to be pointed toward the northern sky, but this particular dish is like their latest dish where it can be flat. So it's flat mounted on the roof. I can still put it in the garage. I have it mounted in the middle of the roof rack. Can't even see it when it's
Does it get
on
blocked
there.
by your Lightner boxes?
I had the Lightner box on, but you got to remember the Lightner box is plastic.
Oh, so it goes right through it.
A lot of people on Broncos and Wranglers put them on the inside of the fiberglass hardtops in the back. There's a few mounts for those so you can see up, but I've got the rack, so I had to put it on the outside. It's fully weatherproof. I was impressed. I was driving, and I saw anywhere between like 70 and 140 megabits per second.
Oh, my gosh.
While driving.
Yeah, that's
and then
not
parked,
bad.
they're like, oh, yeah, it's around, you should be able to see like 100, 120. Parked, I was seeing like 160, 170. Just parked.
That's really good. I mean, that you wouldn't want to stream, high quality video. You
could, though.
You could, but really, that's for like all your email.
Yeah. It's
all that stuff.
but you only need 20 megabytes per second to stream HD video. So like I could watch a movie in the middle of nowhere if I want to. But yeah, the idea is I need to be able to answer emails. I need to be able to send people things. I need to be able to put the podcast up because the podcast got up late because I had no cell phone. I had no way to get a hold of anybody. So now this way, I don't have that problem. And I already pay like $200 plus a year for my satellite communicator. So like if something bad happens, I hit SOS and the helicopter comes and I can send, messages out to people. I'm like, I'll dump that because I got Starlink. I use Wi-Fi calling on my phone now. So I'll be in the middle of nowhere, Wi-Fi calling through it. And the Wi-Fi, dude, I'm like, they say 100 feet away. I was like 150 feet, no problem. Still had like 70 gigabytes.
So you could have your laptop by the campfire.
Totally.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Anyway, that was my little thing.
That's all. But this defeats being by the campfire, though, doesn't it?
Not when it's being by the campfire is your job.
Oh, good point.
So now I don't have to worry about where do I have to be? I'm like, boom, turn the Starlink on, done. And it plugs into. I have it plugged into my inverter, but you can plug it in USB-C to a 100-watt USB-C high power outlet, and you can use it that way.
How'd you get power to the top of the Jeep?
I just ran it right through the Freedom panel tops, just right through it.
The Freedom panel tops.
The removable panels in the front?
Yeah.
There's a seam right there. So I just ran it straight through there.
It fit right through there.
Yeah.
You didn't have to drill a hole.
I'm not drilling a hole because I want to be able to take it off. It's not permanent, but it needs to be up there and out of the way. When
Is it a flat cable or is it round?
It's round.
It's round, okay. Because they make flat cables as well.
Yeah. Worked fine, didn't leak. No issues. So,
is this an Elon Musk company?
Yes.
It is Starlink.
SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla.
Damn, that boy.
No, he's killing it. And, dude, I remember the first time I saw Starlink, I was standing in Utah. It's pitch black, moonless night, and a bunch of us are out there, and all of a sudden, it starts sparkling. And if you've ever seen it, it looks like the aliens are invading.
You're talking about the satellites.
The satellites themselves.
I've seen those when I was in Lake Powell.
It's a ribbon of flashing lights that are like in a train, in a line, that get more intense as they get above you, then fade as they go toward the horizon. If you've never seen one before, like it'll freak you out the first time you saw that. But it's interesting when you can look at the view on the app. The app's actually pretty good, and it'll show you like where the satellite coverage is above you. And it's like you're out in the open. It's like full blue globe above you of all the satellites. I don't know how many tens of thousands that he has up there now, but thanks for the Wi-Fi, Elon, because now I never have to worry about it.
He's running a junkyard of satellites above our heads.
Dude, it's crazy. I just like the technology is crazy. But again, the fact that I don't have to plan on, I have to tell you, I'm going to be out. I might not have it. You have to put it up, whatever. It's fine. Wherever I am, I can make a phone call. I can FaceTime the fam. I can put the podcast up. I can answer emails so I don't have 500 when I get back. And I can use it while driving.
Except unless you're, again, in like a slot canyon. Then you're
Yeah, I mean, you need a view of the sky. If you're in like heavy trees or Slot Canyon. But normally I wouldn't be camping in Slot Canyon because if
Dangerous.
it rained, I'd get washed away. So that was my weird week of technology.
My weird week of technology involved my video going viral. And we're not going to talk about the subject matter. I'm just going to say it's weird going viral. Haven't done it. Been in the media for a long time.
How many death threats did you get?
I didn't get any death threats. I got a lot of, hey, I'm going to come steal your vehicle.
And I told you that was going to happen, so that is a little bit funny.
It's not a lot. Well, one guy said, I'm a career criminal, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to get it.
That's awesome.
And so that was kind of spooky. I'm not going to lie to you. It was kind of weird. He's like, I'm going to come get your truck, and here's how I'm going to do it. And then about an hour later, he says, just kidding. I work in environmental protection out of Canada.
And he also says, I'm still coming to
no, but he messaged me directly. It wasn't a comment.
Yeah.
Like he was like, I'm going to show this guy.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So that was really weird. The video, I was going to be super, super happy if I was going to crack like 1 million views. That was like viral to me. As of today, just YouTube alone, Holman, any idea?
28 million.
30.
Nice.
Stupid. This is just ridiculous.
It is stupid.
It's stupid. It's crazy. So, it's the Truck Show Podcast. My name is Lightning. He's Holman, but for this episode, you're going to call me Viral Sensation.
That's disgusting. Is there a pill for that, or a cream, or like how do we?
I got a. It's an ointment.
Well, you keep your viral and your ointment over there. All right. Thank you, Nissan, for sticking with us and presenting the Truck Show Podcast to the greater masses, and for having a great truck. And we would like you to go check out that truck by heading down to your local Nissan dealer, where you can drive the Nissan Frontier. Or, a little secret, if you wait a couple of months, the 25 models are coming and they're awesome. So you could find out more at nissanusa.com, where you can build and price. And I've been looking at the new interior of the 25 Frontier, and I'm like, man, that screen is nice. That interior is pretty dope. And I kind of like
what are you saying?
More aggressive grill. It's got the old hard body, like 3 slats in the leading edge. I'm like, that thing's cool.
Are you going to say that you're going to trade in your leased electric car for Frontier?
I do miss having a pickup.
You do need to. I mean, a Jeep is a great utility vehicle without the utility.
That's not true. It does everything but
except for haul
oversized big things in the back. Oh, right. It hauls plenty of things, including ass.
Yeah, it does.
But no, a Nissan Frontier would fit into my life pretty well. If you think you need a pickup truck, then head on down to your local Nissan dealer.
A couple weeks ago, Banks Power released the Monster Ram, which isn't just a cast aluminum work of art for your 2017 to 2024 Duramax.
But it is that, right?
It is. It is that, yes. It improves throttle response while increasing the life of your turbo. It's the culmination of over a year of development and testing. With a larger outlet and a smooth organic shape, the Monster Ram increases air density to the turbo compressor. This results in lower shaft speeds with less time to reach the ECM's target boost. In other words, better throttle response.
Is that all comes from the organic shape and reduced shaft speeds?
It does. Why, yes, it actually does reduce the shaft speed. With the Monster Ram, your turbo will spin millions of times less over its lifetime. Yes, millions. If you've got a 2017 to 2024 Duramax and you want some better throttle response and you want to treat your turbo right, head over to bankspower.com, type in your year, make, and model to get yours.
If you're one of those people that are smart and savvy and
so not
love
me.
cars like we do, then you know that running AMSOIL is your best bet. And if you want to run AMSOIL in your vehicle, there's no better kit than the AMSOIL oil change kit that you can get from AMSOIL.com. This kit comes with everything you need, including a high-quality AMSOIL filter, the oil of your choice, nitrile gloves, a funnel, and even a sticker to remind you of when to do your next oil change. Because with AMSOIL, that'll be at tens of thousands of miles or maybe once a year. So if you're coming up on your next oil change, then head over to AMSOIL.com and get the oil change kit that's right for your truck.
And you've heard us talking about EGR. They're the company out of Australia that has an office here in Southern California as well. They're the makers of the roll track tonneau cover that this guy has on his truck, fender flares, VSL LED lights, window visors, hood guards, body side moldings, cab spoilers, sport bars, underseat storage, and so much more. Australian-made quality parts right here in the U.S. Head over to egrusa.com and check out. If you're looking for a tonneau cover, there is no better for your money than the roll track tonneau cover, whether it's electric or manually retractable. All the stuff is absolutely amazing, and your truck deserves an EGR product. egrusa.com to find yours.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with The Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel and the ones that run on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show, whoa, whoa.
It's The Truck Show with your hosts, Lightning and Holman.
Another in-studio guest here at the Truck Show podcast. We've got Andrew Weaver, who I found on the gram. He's the owner of SoCal Glass Kings. And you're like, wait, Auto Glass? And we talked about it on an episode ago or two. I said that I had become infatuated with his channel because he's wearing like bear costumes. He wears a tuxedo as he's installing glass, but doing auto glass. And I've never found anyone who's been interesting to watch install auto glass. So, Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
And by the way, I hired him to replace my auto glass, so
You've got experience firsthand with him.
I do.
Fantastic. All right, before we can let you talk, we've got a quick intro. Don't move.
What does it take to be an entrepreneur? What does it take to be an entrepreneur? Quit your job and get a loan. And don't let anyone tell you you can't. Go into debt and don't look back. Don't worry, there will always be another crappy job. This is what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
You found him, and you didn't tell me about it. And
No.
I get the notifications from our scheduling software, and it says Andrew Weaver, and I'm like, well, who's that
Who's
dude?
that guy? Yeah.
And then I looked, and it said SoCal Glass Kings, and I was like, okay, I actually have a need for auto glass. And then I hit you up. I'm like, what's this all about? You're like, dude, I follow him on Instagram, and I was like,
He's got to do this voice.
come
right?
on my podcast and talk about yourself. And then I went, have you ever worked with him? And you're like, no.
Nope. Just follow him just on the
So,
ground.
so I went to Yelp, and he had like 55-star reviews. And I'm like, all right, good enough for me. I'm like, hey, dude, you're going to be on my podcast next week, and I'd rather talk from a place of experience.
Can you come over and do some
Can
Gorilla
you-
Glass
yeah.
on my
Can you
392?
Can you put a new windshield in my 392? So you did. You were here yesterday.
Yes, sir.
And I knew that because I saw it on his Instagram.
Uh-huh.
It's SoCal Glass Kings, right?
Yeah, SoCal Auto Glass King.
SoCal
Yeah.
Auto Glass Kings. And so I didn't even know he was over until I saw your front yard. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, so he was here yesterday, and so far the glass in the Wrangler has not shattered. It hasn't popped out. There's no like extra urethane goo around the edges or anything like that.
I'm going to go see Urethane Goo. They're playing at the Palladium tomorrow
Are they?
night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
great punk band.
So far, 5 out of 5 stars.
Hasn't flown off yet. All right,
Hasn't,
cool.
yeah, well, I didn't drive it today, so I let it just bake in the 95-degree heat. So
That's
All right.
good. So, Andrew, what's the backstory? How did you end up being the guy on Instagram with like 60,000 followers or more, whatever it is, and you're dressing up in interesting outfits? So before I saw you in like tuxedos and stuff like that. You were just using very innovative tools that I've never seen. Now, maybe they were tricks of the trade that like SafeLight or those guys, your competition, they were using and not showing us because they wanted to keep them secret. But here you are with like all these interesting mirrors and tools and pulleys, and you were doing everything yourself. You've got these giant front windshields that are like for a full-size 1-ton pickup truck or larger. You're installing them by yourself with all these interesting apparatus. How did that happen? Take us back.
From the very, very beginning.
Yeah, like how did
Okay.
you get into auto glass?
by the way, on Instagram, he has 100,000 followers.
So I was way under.
You're way under.
Damn.
Yeah.
So it all started a long time ago. I was actually doing DoorDash, and I wanted to be a mechanic. My wife wouldn't let me be a mechanic. She said that my body would deteriorate too fast. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And then I saw auto glass, and that was on the approved lists of occupations. So I thought it was really cool because not only do I get to work on cars, it's a lot easier than being a mechanic, and it's a lot cleaner. And then not only that, but I get to work on Maseratis and Beamers and Benzes, whereas most mechanics, they get older cars, who needs brake changes and maintenance stuff. And
Yeah, because all the
and then
warranty work, the new cars are going to the dealerships.
they're all going to the dealership, so you never really see new cars as a mechanic. Exactly. So it was really cool to see all these, the ins and outs of, where someone sees like, oh, look at that Audi. Like I've been in and out of that Audi 25 times, At Safelite actually is where I started. And I had applied and then they denied me. And then she was like, well, let's apply again. So I was like, I don't really feel like it. So she applied again for me.
Your wife applied for you.
She did, yeah.
That's crazy.
So while I was door dashing,
not to turn it on myself here, but like my girlfriend many, many years ago applied for me at the radio station I ended up spending a 25-year career at. So it's interesting that she applied for you. You go to work for Safelite.
And how are your kids together?
How are my kids together?
Oh, you don't know her anymore.
No.
She did that for you and you bailed on her.
No, I didn't bail on her. She bailed. She found another dude that wore a black leather jacket.
Ooh. Did it have chains that would jingle?
Yeah. Yeah, like one of those like punk rock, like Ramones style leather jackets. Yeah, she left me for him.
That's
Thanks
rough.
for
You look a little bit bitter.
Wow. Thanks for peeling off the scab.
Man,
Appreciate that.
you brought it up. You're the one who said not to make it about myself,
I
but
know, right?
let me go.
She was the one that I brought to an Oingo Boingo show at Irvine Meadows at the time.
Okay.
And I brought her up
Was
to...
it a Dead Man's Party?
Yes, it was. It was on Halloween. And I went to... and I introduced her to Kevin and Bean and like... Well, she's way too hot for you. And then
Yeah, but that's what all your friends always say about
proceeded
them.
to hit on her.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, she was...
Was Bean wearing a leather jacket?
No, he was not. He
checking.
was wearing board shorts the way he normally was.
Sounds about right.
That's inside baseball talk here for K-Rock
For
fans in LA.
ex-K-Rock,
Yeah.
yeah.
So back to Safelite.
So so she applied for me. Then they hired me again. They absolutely loved me the second time. Immediately fell in love with it. Immediately was like super good at it.
Do you have to start out as like an apprentice? You go out with somebody else who is a pro, and you just watch and shadow that person?
So they do like an actual training class. So you actually go, you learn the hows and the whys, and then you actually had to have hands-on training for a while, and then they kind of let you do it on your own for a little bit, and then when they deem you ready, then they let you go.
And so what is this, like a 3-month process, 6 months?
Yeah,
How long
about
are
3
you?
months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got to make sure you're not going to destroy paint and dashboards and everything else, right?
Yeah. And even then, I mean, it's really hard, because there's so many different makes and models and so many different glasses on each car. It's impossible for really someone to be, ready, perfectly ready, but they get you ready enough and then, send you out. That way you can start doing it. Yeah, I just caught on super fast. Really, really fell in love with the craft. It didn't matter if it was super hot. If we had a ton of cars to do that day, I was ready to go. I always thought it was super fun. And not only that, but when it got busy, then you get more hours. So I was like, dude, let's work 50, 60 hours a week. I'm down. Let's go. So I was just, I was really, really loved
He
the
was
craft.
ripping glass, man.
I was,
Yeah.
I would rip through them super, super fast. I don't even work as fast as I do because I was just like, I would rush through all the jobs. That's kind of the culture there, unfortunately. But then, so when
you're
you
saying,
rush,
yeah.
the quality sometimes goes down. 'Cause
Okay.
you're going so fast, you can't even really think about what you're doing. So I damaged a lot of stuff back in the day. I made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like my process, even though it was kind of reckless at the beginning, I front-loaded all my mistakes, and now I almost never make a mistake. So,
What type of mistakes do rookies make?
breaking moldings, getting glue all over the place, messing up people's, A-pillars, stuff like that. They're breaking stuff.
All the
water
plastic
leaks.
tabs that don't go back on, and you got to use some kind of like gummy glue to that little.
Leaving extra glass
No.
on the windshield because you got to break the old one out, right?
No, sometimes, yeah, but it's a lot of little stuff. And I made a lot of little stuff. So I was like the guy that everybody talked about at the beginning, and then very soon after, I was like a beast, and I was the number one on all the leaderboards. Other managers were like, "Hey, man, you want to come over to my shop?" And I was like, "No, my shop's a 10-minute drive for me.
Yeah,
Like, I
exactly.
don't want to come to this shop."
The stuff that you, so Andrew, the stuff that you were breaking, I just want to go in because I can imagine this. You get hired to do like Bentley glass, you're in Newport Beach or something, and it's a door. It's not the windshield. It's like a door has been busted out or like an attempted theft or something. There have to be all sorts of tabs and screws that are hidden that you can't see behind burl wood panels and all this stuff. And there is no like, you can't just go on All Data in the field on your phone and look up how do you remove this door panel. You're just feeling around, using your little plastic pry tool, prying stuff off. Is that what was going on?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, most cars, you can look them up on YouTube if you get real stuck. But I mean, for the most part, yeah, you kind of feel around. I think I made a lot of mistakes because I was trying to rush and do as many jobs as I possibly could. And then I would just end up, because I was rushing, I would end up making mistakes, breaking stuff. And then like the company paid for it all, but they have a system to where like if you break stuff, they'll actually like dock your pay. So kind of backfired on me.
Well, like if you're working on a truck,
Yeah.
guy's brand new truck, whatever, and you break an A-pillar or something, that guy gets pissed off, and then he calls Safelight, and they have to make good and send him a new A-pillar.
Yeah.
and all that. So it's like, it just seems like a bad situation. Like I would be. Did you feel bad like later for going through that period?
No, he went in there like freaking Mario and Donkey Kong. He had his big mallet and he's like smashing stuff up.
Were you? I know you're a young dude, but like,
You know what,
Did you
honestly,
feel guilty at all, or
You know what?
Or were you
honestly,
were you on commission?
No, it was always hourly. It was hourly with bonus at first, and then they restructured it to where they was like only hourly without bonus. But then, if you fall into all these categories, which one of them is like mistakes, if you make too many, then they'll actually like demote you and dock your pay. But you know what? To answer your other question, I did not feel bad at first. I was like, oh crap, this broke, and then it's like, well, the company's gonna pay for it, so you're okay, you know. And I really never placed myself in my customer's shoes until one day, like, my lead asked me, he's like, Andrew, what if that was your car? Like, would you feel comfortable with someone like working on it in the way that you do? And then I was like, oh man, you know what? I never really thought about it. Like, yeah, that's kind of,
I'm a dick.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was like, that's kind of selfish in a way, you know, because I'm just doing it whatever's way for me, but I'm really like being careless with their materials that really they trusted us with. So then I was like, dude, like it really changed for me that one day, and ever since, like I'll be like laying stuff down, taking care of their stuff, making sure I didn't damage it. So yeah, to answer your question, no, I didn't feel bad at first, but then once I had that realization, I was like, oh man, you know what? Yeah, because I wouldn't be okay with that. I'd be like, dang, like, you know what? You guys are just hacking up my car. That's messed up, you know? So
yeah, man, it's like an extension of us car enthusiasts. So at what point did you decide, all right, I'm done working for the man, and you're going to jump out and do your own thing?
So I was at Safelight for a little while, and then I was at another company called All Star Glass. And they're now Auto Glass. Now they got bought out by a bigger company.
I've used both Safelight and All Star.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at All Star. Actually, really, really loved All Star. So here was my turning point right here. So I was at All Star, completely different from Safelight. It was like, I always imagine at Safelight, because they have so many rules, there's so much pressure. They want you to do all this work in a little bit of time. They want you to clock out as soon as possible. And they really milk you there, man. It was horrible.
And they have a crappy jingle.
I know, right? And I hate when people sing the jingle. I'm like, no, no, go away. No, so the culture was so different. They were like, hey, you know what? Do your work, do it right, and go home. And I always dream, when I was a Safelight, I always dreamed, man, what if there was a glass company where I could just go do my work and go home and be at peace, you know? So going there was night and day difference. I was really happy there. And their top performing store was in Gardena, which is not too far from here.
Sure.
But for me, going from a 10-minute drive to my shop to a 45-minute drive to Gardena and then back, and then I'm over here doing ministry at my church. I'm like, have all these stuff going on. I was always super stressed out about how I'm going to get home. Sometimes I go to LAX, and oh my God, that's a nightmare trying to get back. That's an hour and a half instead of 45 minutes. And I kept telling them, hey, you know what? When they onboarded me, they said, be in Gardena for now, but we'll move you to Orange County soon. Yeah. Air quotes. You know? And
never
I
happened.
was like, it never happened. And it never happened to the point where I kept asking them, like, hey, what timeline are we working with Orange County? Because, you know, I'm kind of reaching my breaking point here. It's been 3 to 6 months, and I really don't want to keep making this drive. And they were like, oh, well, you know what? Well, we'll get you over there. And then I was like, okay. Then I started looking for other avenues because I wasn't just going to take it. I'm a very highly skilled tech. At that point, I was about a year and a half in, but I was cranking them out, for one, super productively, and two, with the skill of like a 5 to 7 year tech. So I already knew my skill set, what I brought to the table, and I was like, okay, well, I can get a job anywhere I want. So then I went to, I tried to get hired at Glass America, and I told them, hey, I'm going to quit. And that's when they moved me over. But at that time, I was already like getting the ball rolling with my business. I got all my licenses October of 2022. So, and it was kind of over at that point because in my mind, my wife was like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should do it on your own. And the next day, I had all my licenses. So I was like, that's all I needed was wifey to say something. And I was like, done. Cool. Because then I didn't have to convince her. It came out of her mouth. So I was like, okay, we're good.
All right, we're good.
What kind of licenses do you need? I don't know.
So
Business
it's
license?
just, you're going to need a city business license, California state license, and then a federal EIN number, and then a seller's permit.
Okay,
for the
but you don't
taxes.
have to have any kind of special, like a contractor would have or something like that.
No,
nothing
you
like
can pretty
that.
much just go ahead and start
You
installing
could totally
glass.
go out and ruin anyone's windshield that you want.
right?
much, yeah.
But you got to have insurance because if you do, man, if you damage if you damage a Bentley or something like that,
How
that's-
about your Benz?
Or
What's the glass on your Benz?
And that's one of the reasons and we'll talk about that
What kind of
because that
Benz
has
do
to
you
be about SL55, 2007.
Oh God. Yeah.
And so it's a convertible, and I believe that the windshield is a structural member, right?
It is on any car. Yeah. Well,
Okay,
especially
well,
on a convertible.
on a convertible.
But they also have the crossbars at the bottom. But on any car, really, the windshield structuralizes the vehicle.
It is though, and it's pitted, and it drives me crazy. But I haven't done it because I'm scared to death. I'm not going to ask you to do it, but I am going to ask. Well, here we are, and I want to find out more about the business. But like, since we're on the topic, I'm scared to have someone mess this up. And I only want to buy Mercedes glass. I don't want Safelite glass. I want to try and get some actual MB glass.
Yeah.
It's got all the FM antennas and all that stuff and whatever else it's got in there. And it's the original windshield from 07 from what according to the paperwork. And I just, I'm super scared about having someone do it.
Well, you're
and I
looking
don't
at the man
trust-
right here.
I know, right? I mean, well, let's come back to this. I feel like
I know.
yeah, we're
I mean,
going
you're
down- we're
here.
going down
Why,
a rabbit
we're here.
hole, yeah.
Let's cross
You're
this
like-
off the list.
I mean, what can I run into? Like, I don't want someone to damage the paint because it's got a special paint. There were only like 100 made of that entire year of that color. So it's white, you wouldn't know, but whatever. I don't want them to gouge the A-pillars. I don't
Yeah.
want like all that stuff. I want it done right, and I want all the sensors to work. And I just don't trust someone just to pull up the house where I drop it off at the Mercedes dealer. You get charged an arm and a leg, and just some numbnut comes in the back where, in the bay in the back and does it and comes out and it's leaking and
And
creaking.
they do,
whatever
unfortunately,
else.
all the dealers, they pretty much just find the cheapest guy because I've tried to go get contracted with the dealers. Like,
Yep.
oh, we go with this guy. He charges $160. I'm like,
Yep.
what the heck? And it's like some guy no one's ever heard of. And to some degree, he has to produce consistent work because obviously if he's hacking up all the cars, But at the same time, they literally just find the cheapest guy to come and do it for them, and then they charge you.
Yeah,
you know,
because
like
they need to
$1,000
make
labor.
profit. Of course, they're in
Yeah.
business to make money, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I haven't done it. And I'm also kind of sketched out because so what do you recommend? Like, do I buy?
I think he just recommended himself.
Well, he
Yeah,
did, but
come
like,
on,
do
man.
what do you think about Mercedes?
That's like him
glass?
coming on this show and going, "Hey, do you know any good podcasts?"
Yeah, that's true. I'm not one of them, so I would recommend Rogan or somebody like that,
Okay.
right? Yeah. And it looks like there's a weird film between two panes of glass that's starting to wrinkle if you took cellophane, like the bottom half of the glass,
Yeah,
like
dude,
eye level and down.
That's laminate glass. That's
Is it
for
laminate?
It's for sound. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's got
It's not
that, and
special.
it's starting to look. The top doesn't look wavy, but the bottom looks wavy.
They
When I
just
look-
age over time from UV and
Is that what it
heat
is?
cycles and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, is it delaminating?
It's not. Well, when you say delaminating, you can't touch it or feel it.
No, it's between two panes, but it's delaminating if it's starting to shrink, discolor, or wave.
just looks
inside.
wavy.
Especially around the edges. Especially
No,
around the
this is
edges.
right through the center, right, like my eye line and below. The whole thing from my eye line below.
Are you the original owner?
No, two other owners.
Is it tinted?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That's weird.
I know it's weird. I know it's
Sounds like
weird.
it's time for new glass.
Again,
There we go.
if I put you in and you look
Yeah.
at a street sign, you don't notice it. But
Is
when
it
you,
better for him to get his own OE glass, or for you to get it?
No, because so if you go, unless you actually have a wholesale account, then they'll give you wholesale pricing. But if you go as a retail customer, the price is like astronomically higher than if I go in.
it's like $2,000.
Yeah. So if I go in on my wholesale price, it'll be a couple $100 less. So you'll save a couple $100 already off the tag, and then on labor, and then you don't have to have the risk of trying to carry this $2,000 glass around.
True.
There's also the benefit. I'm going to throw it in my truck, which is already suited to carry glass, and then I'll just go wherever you're at. So
Gotcha. Okay.
But as far as like beyond saying I'm the auto glass guy, use me. If you were to look for an auto glass company, I would say use someone. I'm a huge review guy, but then there's no single source of. There's nothing you can look at one standard and be like, oh, this guy's perfect because of this. So I would say just.
You're saying is it Google versus Yelp, or you mean like should they be looking at?
I'm saying like anyone can fake reviews realistically. Like I have a bunch of reviews on my platforms, but realistically I could have potentially faked all of them. So
Well, the other side of it is like even if you have somebody that has a bunch of good reviews, you'll see like glass is so varied from vehicle to vehicle that somebody may be able to do X job 100 times, no problem, and then this other car is super difficult, and then bam, there's an issue and somebody's
Very
unhappy.
true. Very true. So I would say just look at someone who has a good track record, and then see if they work. So like yours is obviously a luxury car. See if they kind of work on luxury / exotic type stuff. I mean, really, at the end of the day, you're gonna be scared, but you're gonna have to trust somebody to do it.
Sure.
Right? Because you're not gonna do it yourself, and you probably wouldn't even want to do it yourself. So I would say at the end of the day, just do your homework. If you're super concerned, do your homework. and kind of ask them some questions, pre-qualify.
Yeah, what are
them.
the because for example, a lot of our listeners, they don't live in California, Southern California, so they're going to need glass, and they can't hire you because you don't travel to Missouri.
Yeah.
So what questions are they asking?
Here, I'll tell you one right now. One of the things that when I was researching him, even though he was brought to my attention from you, I went on his website, I went on Google, I went on Yelp. I'm like, all right, I got to find out about it. The number one thing for me is that he had ADAS calibration, even on the side of his van and on the side of his Gladiator pickup. And so a lot of people, especially with newer cars, you have to have the ADAS or the adaptive cruise control recalibrated. And so he's got the tools to do that. And so a lot of people, they don't want to...
They don't want to be liable for it?
No. They don't want to do the extra steps or the extra labor that it costs to have it validated because they're like, oh, I'm just putting in the same glass. Why do I need to be calibrated? Well, because the distance from the camera and the optical clarity of the glass or aftermarket versus OE, there's enough difference in there that if you don't have it calibrated, your forward collision warning's not going to work, your adaptive cruise control is not going to work right, the car may decide to brake in the middle of a turn rather than follow, like all that stuff. So I wanted to know, hey, I've got a glass guy that can calibrate it, and on Wranglers, the dealers don't like doing it if you have a lift because there's special tools you need. I even asked them about it yesterday because I had heard horror stories of people going to the dealer to have their glass replaced. They're like, oh, dealer says you have to let all the air out of your tires if you're on 37s to get the height right. Well, he's got
That's crazy.
He's got an aftermarket tablet where he measures the distance of the vehicle's ride height, and then it does the algorithm, and then he drives it around, and he can tie it all together. So the fact that somebody has the ability to do ADAS, especially on a new vehicle, for me was pretty big because that's a pretty involved process. I mean, it takes probably 45 minutes or so to do, right?
On the driving,
with the driving
ones,
stuff,
yeah.
I mean, obviously there's some you can do parked with a whatever, but like on my Jeep, it's a driving one. So
some of the videos
that
that I was fascinated when I first found your account is that you had this incredible contraption, kind of like a bullseye that you were setting up. As if I were like, and it all folds out, all like looked like aluminum or steel, and it unfurls. And it's got a target, and you were targeting the ADAS system on this. And so how did you learn to do that? Was that at Safelite or was that later?
Was at Safelite, and so I learned how to do it there. And then when I started my own thing, so here's a couple things. Like when I started out, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the company that I wanted to be. I just had to figure out the pieces of how to get there. So I already knew I wanted to do insurance work. I knew that no matter what I had to do, I was going to do it. I knew that I wanted to do the calibrations. I researched all the tools that were on the market. I was bent either toward the Autel one or this newer one called the CarCal, which is the one that I use. It's super convenient, folds up real flat. It's like 35 pounds, whereas the Autel is like 90, and you can't fold it down flat. So I ended up going for that one. No regrets. It's been super awesome. And they advertise it as a mobile stand, whereas there's a lot of confusion as to like, oh, it's only supposed to be in a shop. Other guys, you can say you can do it mobile. There's variance in the, if you do it on a street, it's not
there's
perfectly
the crowd
flat.
of the road.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and what the manufacturers and the guys at the CarCal said, because I asked them a lot of questions because I was like, dude, I don't want to be just going and making money for no reason and then putting people in danger.
And by the way, he offers a lifetime warranty on his work and his ADAS calibration. So he needs tools that are going to make it. That was one of the things we talked about. And I'm like, all right, what if the ADAS is off? He goes, dude, drive it around. If there's a problem, call me back. I'll recalibrate it for you.
Yep.
So like that was a big deal too. So like, he definitely wasn't the cheapest guy around, but I hired him because he checked all my boxes of stuff I was looking for.
How do you calibrate that? Do you plug in an OBD? Is that how it works?
So it is all OBD. Well, there's two types of different calibrations. One of them is static, where you've maybe seen some of the videos where I set up the target boards as you're mentioning. Another one is dynamic. So basically, we'll plug in the same tablet into the OBD port and then start the calibration, and then we drive it. And as we drive it, basically the tablet's telling the OBD and the ECU to read the lanes and the data from the road, and then it recalibrates to the new windshield, screen, and the new windshield position.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it's doing everything for you, but you've got to know the process.
Yeah. So then once it's done, it just says, calibration successful or not, and if it's not, then you got to figure out why it's not. It'll tell you this might be why it's not. And then every great once in a while it's the glass. I actually did one today that unfortunately it was the glass. And I had experience with these Audis before, and we used to always get the American FYG glass, Fuyao glass, one of the major OEM manufacturers. But for the American FYG on these Audis, for some reason the recals just would not go through, and then we'd try them. We swap out the glass for OEM, boom, we'll go through right away.
Interesting.
And
what do you attribute that to? You don't know? Is it something
man?
Reflective within the glass, or that it's
well-
not allowing?
Well, you know what? When I picked up, so the other day when this happened, we had a Chinese XYG, which people kind of give Chinese glass a bad rap, but honestly, in my experience, never had a problem. So, so even on stuff where like I kind of within myself, I'm like, I wonder if I would have used a Chinese glass, if it would have calibrated or not, if we wouldn't have to get OEM. So, but the other day I was training one of my guys to use one of the setting tools. One of the cups actually detached, and the glass broke. So then I had to run down to the warehouse, grab another one. They handed me an American FYG, and in my mind I was like, oh crap. Like I kind of had a feeling, I was like, I hope this calibrates, but if it doesn't, like I guess, it is what it is. So then I already drove 30 minutes. That's the only glass they had. So I had to come all the way back, and then another 30-minute drive. So then we got it set up. We got it set. I threw all those old cups away. I was like, you know what? I literally just bought all new cups that day.
You're talking about suction cups?
Suction cups, yeah. Because that gave out. I was like, this is never happening again. So I threw all the old ones away. I bought all new cups. And then, so we set the glass. And then when we set the glass, I noticed a very, very slight bow in it. And I was like, when I saw the bow after we set it, I was like, I think we're screwed. Just as I thought when I saw the glass originally. And then sure enough, we tried to calibrate it like 4 or 5 times. I was like, it's not going to go through. So I just told my customer. Thankfully, he was super chill. He was like, all right, cool. I was like, okay, we got to pay your deductible today because we just put the glass. And he's like, all right, cool. I was like, okay, cool. Sounds good.
So how does he solve it?
So basically, unfortunately, we had to come back, redo the job again for free. But it is what it is because we got to take care of our customers, right? So we just ordered the original Audi glass, and then thankfully it was also insurance, so we just billed them for it. There's no additional cost to our customer. And sure enough, I swapped out the glass, OEM, went through first time. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So,
is there any downside to like taking glass on and off too often? Like, do you end up scoring
I don't
the
think you
surround?
can. I think. Are you talking about on the car or the glass?
On the car.
Oh, okay, I say the windshield's done.
The windshield, yeah, it's like a mattress. Yeah, throw it away. You're not allowed to reuse it. No,
you can't reuse it because normally you break it when you pull it out.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. It inspired me. I wonder if are there instances where guys want to save it, like it's an antique. Like here's a 1953 GMC pickup. I need you to take this glass out because we're going to paint it, and then I need you to put it back in. Does that ever happen?
It does, and then I usually end up either I'll just let them know, hey, it could break. Right around the 50s era and before, that's kind of where not my expertise, so I honestly don't really touch them. But when it comes to like the newer ones with the laminate glass and the gaskets, I can knock those out all day, so that's when I start messing with them. But if it's older than that, like if you get like a 1950s something with the little square flat glass, I don't even touch those because that's just not my expertise.
And the stainless steel trim that pops in that you bend immediately.
So then back
you
to
look at it funny and you bend it.
Yes, exactly.
Back to my first question then. Is there a number of times where the glue residue starts caking up and you just can't get a good seal anymore? Like for instance, you're driving off road, like Holman, you put the Gorilla Glass on the other day. He gets popped by another rock, Bernard Leitner's in front of him and roofs on him, and he busts the front windshield. It's how many times can he redo this glass before you've got a buildup of the glue where you just can't get it flat anymore to make a seal?
Well, so every time you take off the glass, you always trim the old glue down, like pretty much all the way near the metal, not too metal, but you leave like 1 to 2 millimeters of the glue left over. I have never seen a car where there's like been so many installs where it's like, oh my god, this is horrible. Some of them you can tell like, oh, like they've replaced this glass a few times, but never to the point where it's like, okay, this is really, really like bad and problematic for the install process. Because the thing about it is, the way that urethane bonds, it bonds best to old urethane. Once you trim it, you just put the new urethane right on top of the old bead that's on the car, and it also bonds best to primer. Basically, realistically, even if it's all caked up, it's kind of just like a nice seat for the new the new glue anyway. Yeah.
Gotcha. What is the worst truck to put glass into to replace? New, old, whatever.
Actually, I'm going to refine that question.
Okay.
Not the worst. What's the hardest?
The hardest.
And what's the most involved? Because I see those as 2 different things. One could be hard.
Yeah.
And it's a pain in the butt. One is like, it's not hard, but maybe there's a lot of pieces or the windshield. Yeah.
Stuff.
It's really technical. Like, is there.
We're not talking about a 21 window Volkswagen van either.
Well, we're just talking about one pane of glass. Not,
so in relation to
not
trucks,
yeah, let's first do trucks because I'm sure there's a lot of cars that have some really interesting shapes. But it's Truck Show Podcast.
Trucks are generally pretty simple. So obviously some are a little bit easier and funner to do than others. But if you want to ask me personally, which ones I seriously hate,
Jeep Wrangler JLs.
they're not my favorite.
Well, was
They're
there a
not my
reason that I
favorite.
didn't see the install on his Instagram? I saw that before.
Oh no,
and
we actually did film it.
Oh, you
but
did?
Yeah, they filmed
we
it.
sent it to our editor, and he chops them up, and then he gets them back in a couple days.
Gotcha,
So.
okay.
So we'll post it soon.
I saw the teaser. I was
what-
like, oh, it's laying on the, it's
Yeah.
Gorilla Glass. So it's on the ground on a blanket. And all of a sudden, it's in. I'm like, oh, I got ripped off.
I asked him. I go, these are flat windshields. These have got to be pretty easy. He's like, yeah, I don't like these.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of flack from like other glass technicians of why I don't like them because they're like technically the simplest, but they require, so on the new Wranglers, they require a lot of care not to scratch the paint. And then on the old Wranglers, they require a lot of care when shooting them. That way you don't get ooze because there's no molding to
Shooting them, meaning the glue.
shooting
Your
them, meaning
thing.
applying the new glue on the,
Got it.
yeah.
Well, the nice thing too, and your wife even mentioned it, because Wranglers, especially JLs, have a front cage structure. So when the windshield folds down, the cage is still there, right? There's the A-pillar and whatever. The camera and the rearview mirror are mounted to the cage structure. So there's no bonding needed to put your mirror back on the new glass or anything like that. So you just pull the glass out and the camera and the mirror stay
Still
in the
there,
vehicle.
right.
Which is slap it right back on.
Yeah, which is, I thought that was pretty cool, but
Yeah.
he's...
In addition to the Jeep, what else gets your ire?
Why did you
honestly, I don't really hate the Jeep. Like if I pull up to a Jeep, I'm like, all right, cool, just another day. There's only a few that I super seriously hate, and they're actually not really trucks. They're more. Oh, you know what truck is really bad? Is it's all the same glass, but it's a Yukon, Suburban, Sierra, Tahoe. It's all the same windshield for that car. But between the years of like 01 to like 09, from 01 to I think 08, it's like they all look the same, but there's one windshield, and then from like 09 to I don't know where it cuts off, like 13, it's like the same windshield, but it's like 2 inches taller. But there's just like you got to take off all these screws on the side, and then you got to figure out how to get the cowling out. So we take off all the pieces. Some guys, they just kind of pull everything back and shove the new glass in, but we try to do it by the book. We do everything the right way. So when you do all the steps the right way, it's super annoying to do those for me. I know some guys who like them, but I absolutely hate them.
Is it because you need to make room to get in around to the glass to the right pressure points to break it free, like when you're removing it? Or is it installing the new glass that is important to remove all the plastics and such?
Yeah, so basically you can do it what I call the ghetto way, is kind of just to remove enough of the trim and then pull the cowling back just to lift it up a little bit and then shove the new glass. Basically, you lay the glue and then you shove the new glass in between the cowl and the glue and kind of just shove it in. It's called stuffing, actually. It's called stuffing. So some guys stuff, you get like cheaper guys, they'll usually stuff everything to save time, and just because like, they're in and out, they're there to make a quick buck and move on. Whereas when we do it by the book, we do it the right way, and then that not only allows for greater, adhesion for safety purposes, because as we mentioned, it is structural. But that also just allows for a better quality job, because sometimes when you slide the glass in, you clip the bead in the glue in the wrong way, and you get like an air leak. So you have like whistling.
This sounds. You've just heard another question you guys should be asking your potential glass guy is: Do you
Are you a
remove-
stuffer?
Yeah, are you a stuffer? He's got to know your insider at that point.
Yeah, they
right?
say leave the stuffing for Thanksgiving. That's it.
Right, exactly. So that's a good question. As do you remove all the pieces so you can put it in perpendicular, not slide it in at an angle? Right?
Exactly.
Okay, so then you had some other. No, so that's trucks. All those GM vehicles.
So
you can't
as
stand.
far as trucks, I don't really like those. All the other trucks are kind of okay. If you want to group vans into trucks, the two that I absolutely hate the most are the Mercedes Sprinter and the
Is that just because it's so damn big?
It's just so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then you got to figure out how to set it, and it's really heavy, really, big and bulky. And even if you use two people, you got to be real careful setting it. And then if you use one person, you got to be super careful setting if you're using a tool. And then also what's that van? The Chevy Express.
Yep.
Oh God, I hate those. I hate
Yeah?
those so much. Yeah, they're just so big and bulky. Those are like my kryptonite right there, man. Like, I absolutely detest those.
I had an Express. I'm glad I don't anymore.
Yeah, then we can be friends. Yeah.
So what's the easiest? What's the one glass you can slam in every single time?
It's like a Ford F-150 or something?
100% accuracy. You just no problem. You're like, somebody calls you and goes, "Hey, I want to do this glass," and you're like, "Here's the price," and they're like, "Okay," and you're like, "Sweet, I can do like 10 of these today."
So yeah, if you wanted to give me a car where it just makes my day and I could do 10 of them all day, probably be like a mid-model Corolla, like anything between maybe 2013, 2014. I could do those all day long. Let's see, like a newer Nissan like Altima, like those you could smash out real quick. That was the fastest job that I ever did, was a newer Nissan Altima, and I timed it was 22 minutes start to finish.
Dang.
Yeah, so yeah, those are pretty fun.
Nice.
Any preferred trucks that are just really easy to do? You're like, no sweat.
I'd say the Ford F-150, the newer one with the curved glass at the top, those I could smash out pretty quick. When I was a safe lad, I used to do those 30 minutes like all day long. Those are pretty fun. And then the newer model of the Tahoes, those are really fun too. The windshield coat on that is like a 2274. Those are super fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glass is the question. Let's go back and I'm kind of going to circle back to the glass thing. OE, Safe Light, Chinese glass. Is it case by case, or is there a general rule where a guy's like, hey man, I've called around and my glass guys, they said they can get me 3 different glasses. Is there one that you prefer, having been around thousands of them now?
Well, if money is not an issue, then get the OEM. But if
And why?
Well, just because it's perfect. It's just perfect. But then when you say that, then it leaves room for you to think, oh, how imperfect is the aftermarket? Then it raises concerns on that side. But this is what I tell people, honestly. You can use aftermarket for almost any car. It's more case by case. So where like if you have like a higher end like Mercedes, Audi, BMW, Porsche, recommend OEM. Other ones like that Audi that I mentioned earlier that we had to swap out, OEM's better. Honda Pilot that has like it has a double calibration. OEM's always better for those. So it's kind of case by case. For the most part, aftermarket is fine. Okay. Especially like if you don't want to pay $1,000 for like, your 2013 Corolla.
Yeah, if it's like a tenth of the cost of the vehicle, like maybe you don't need to do that.
Is there a difference in thickness or safety?
No, so
or
as
anything
far
of
as
that?
like durability and quality,
rock chip, I guess they all chip the same, or are some
essentially more or less, yeah, yeah.
Well, and the quality has to be the same because it's the safety part of the car,
and it has
too.
to be exactly. So they're all engineered to meet the United States federal guidelines for windshield safety. So they all have to be an engineered minimum strength to at least meet that. So they're all engineered more or less the same.
So there's not like some dude in his backyard pouring windshields.
No.
Have you ever dealt with any covers, not like an Expel paint protection, but have you rolled up on a car that had some type of a clear barrier on the exterior of the windshield where he's trying to prevent rock chips or something? Because there have been several companies that have made them, some successful, some not. I was researching those, like, hey, if I replace the windshield on my Ram or the Mercedes, I don't want to do it again. And it's just, I don't replace them because they generally break. I replace them because they get so rock pitted.
Yeah. So there is a company that makes them. From what I've heard, like some of my detailers offer the service, but it's like $550. But it's called Clearplex. So I've heard, and they show me a demo video where they basically took a car and they shot it up with airsoft guns and it got a bunch of chips on it. And then they replaced the windshield, put the Clearplex on it, and they shot it up again, and there was no chips. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm sold. But it's $550. So
yeah, so it's like half the price of windshield anyway.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know if it's the same company, but some of those companies, they are like 3 layers. Because your windshield wipers are going to scrape it and damage it.
That's what I've heard.
When you're washing, whatever. So you peel back a layer, you peel back a layer,
really?
you peel
I
back a
didn't know
layer.
that.
Yeah, I can't remember the company. There's one that makes it for
I feel like that's
off-road vehicles.
That's for like your motocross goggles. You just keep, like tear-offs.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I'd rather just have the glass because I think the optical clarity changes. And I'm already bugged about that stuff.
Yeah, so when you think about it, it's like, is it super worth it to get it? Maybe if your windshield is like $3,000, might be worth it. But then but my thing in the back of my head, because I'm always thinking of all the possibilities, like, what if you're driving and then you get like a big piece of metal, and then you lost your windshield and your $550 Clearplex? Then you're like, damn, this sucks.
Yeah.
What's the most expensive windshield you've ever replaced on any vehicle?
It was actually it was the G-Wagon, $3,600.
Oh,
yeah.
Was it OE?
It was OE, yeah.
What? Okay, what's the weirdest story? So, okay, you've clearly replaced like broken windshields. Like, oh, I was behind a dump truck and it dropped off a boulder off the back and hit my windshield, or I hit a bird, or whatever. But like, what did you roll up and you're like, dude, what happened to your car? Like, what's the weirdest glass replacement story?
I have, yeah. So in the wintertime, we get like a handful of them where you see with the wipe, like you can look at it and then you're like, oh, they were trying to change their wipers and slap down and crack.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
when the
so-
spring loaded, when it's just the arm.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we get a lot of those in the wintertime. And then I've had a handful of them where I was like, hey, what happened to your glass? Because I like to make conversation. And usually they'll tell me the story about how they saw the rock fly at them, or there's three main ones. So like, oh, the rock flew at me and I saw it. I heard a big crack and then I didn't see it till later. Or I just came out to my car in the morning and it was cracked. And so I'm like, okay, I always hear those a bunch of times. But then the craziest one, I've had a handful of them where it's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend was super mad and he punched the glass. So it cracked.
Okay.
But the craziest one I've ever seen was like a 2013 Camry. And man, when I pulled up, like I was like rubbing my hands, like it's kind of like the Corolla. I was rubbing my hands, like, ooh, I'm gonna smack this thing out, like it's gonna be done faster than it. Like it's over as soon as it starts, you know. And then when I looked at it, I was like, oh heck no! Like when I say every inch of the glass was smashed, I mean like there was not even.
Which makes it hard to remove, right? Like
It
is that
does,
the big
yeah. So and then that one, I asked him, I was like, dude, like. I wasn't like, hey man, I was like, dude, what the hell happened to your car? And then he was like, oh, like a giant tree branch flew at me and then it just smashed the entire thing. So I was like, damn.
And its name is Sarah. Like, what were you doing, dude?
Right? And so I was like, damn, like that's insane. And then, so I'm just like thinking to myself, like, man, I thought this was going to be a nice, fun job. And then, so I end up doing it.
And then while you're doing it, you're thinking, how did the tree branch hit it in 5 different spots?
Right. So yeah, I mean, it was so broken that when I actually removed it, because it's laminated,
Right.
so it's not like tempered where it's just in a million pieces all over the car and I vacuum it all up. It's still bonded to the
Yeah.
car to some degree. So I'm cutting it out with the blades. And then
And you've
yeah.
got gloves on,
Yeah, I
and
got gloves
protective
on the
stuff.
whole nine, yeah. And then, so I cut it out, and then when I took the glass off, I literally folded it into quarters like a blanket. Yeah, it was.
Did you leave it with the customer? You're like,
No,
hey,
I'm
you
like,
should,
here you
here's a
go.
gift. Yeah, frame this on your wall.
No, I had to throw it in my trash can in the van. It was the worst, man. There was glass everywhere.
That's
And then, so it should have been a 30-minute job. It took me an hour and a half because of all the cleanup. Yeah, it was horrible.
And I'm sure you booked your stuff the rest of the day based on it being a Camry or something, right? You're like,
Yeah,
well,
well,
dude,
that-
I got 4 more jobs today. No problem.
Yeah. Well, that was back in the day, thankfully, when I was at Safe Flight. So that was like, I was like, I'm getting paid hourly. But still, like, I never had the mindset to where I was like, oh, I'm getting paid hourly. Let me milk it. I was like, dude, I'm banging out all these and getting like.
That wasn't
you know?
a Safe Light repair. That was a Safe Light replace, right?
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
So 2 more questions.
Yes.
Theft. You're like boots on the ground, right?
Yeah.
You are seeing what is being broken into and potentially why, because
Yeah.
you're showing up, and a lot get reported and a lot don't. What trends are you seeing in the market? Like, what are you seeing being broken into all the time, and what windows and why?
Yeah, are you doing more than just windshields? Are you doing?
Yeah, so
yeah, he
we
does
do.
glass
We
on the
do.
sides.
We do all the glass on the car. Mainly, you'll see it on our page that it's mainly windshields because that's like what we do most. But we do all the glass. And then so the thing that I always tell people if it ever gets brought up is like it's bags. So that would be backpacks, diaper bags, gym bags, any bag that you could possibly leave in your car. If you just leave it open. Even if you live in a nice neighborhood sometimes, because some of these thieves will actually travel to the nice neighborhoods and then scope it out, hit a couple cars, and then go back to wherever they live. But it's always bags. Sometimes they get stuff and sometimes they don't. But that's the number one thing we see break-ins for. And then obviously, like if you leave your laptop on your seat or like your purse on your seat, you're kind of asking for it in a sense. And the thing about it is you can never really be too safe because even if you've left your purse on your passenger seat for the past 3 years, 3 years and then 2 days will be the day that it gets broken into and smashed. And then, you got people trying to steal your identity. People just, you had $900 in your wallet that you lost, all your credit cards, you got all these random charges.
Basically, what you're saying is a locked car is not safe.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, you just break glass.
Yeah. And it's pretty easy too. And like when you think like a thief, because I've boiled it down too, because I'm like, okay, after seeing so many break-ins and you see the trend of how the car looks when it gets broken into, it's like, okay, they literally just walked up. They're like, oh, that's the only thing they took. So they literally walk up, look in the car, smash the glass, take the bag and leave. It's a 10-second, it's a 10-second deal. They're gone,
Why is it
instantly.
when I'm looking at like all the police, cameras, what are the cameras that they wear?
The body cameras.
The body cams. And they roll up to like a accident, right? And they pull out their baton or their asp and they're wailing on the back window and it won't crack, right? They're trying to save somebody's life. What magic glass is that stuff? Because I feel like a thief just comes over and then just like taps a glass and then walks away with my wallet. Meanwhile, some dude's like in a fiery car crash and the cops are throwing everything they can at the window and it just keeps bouncing off. I'm like, just blows me away.
So the thing with tempered glass, it's actually made to be super strong. You have to either hit it with blunt force really hard, or like if you hit it on the corner, on the edge, it'll break super easy. And then, so a lot of the thieves, if you hit it with a center punch anywhere generally, it'll always break like one time, ready to go. I've had a couple of them where I hit a center punch 2 or 3 times and then it broke. Yeah, that's why. So if they're just hitting it and hitting it, they're probably hitting it like right in the center,
Right.
And they're hitting it with blunt force to the point where it's just not going to break.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was seeing like they use either the center punch you can buy at any Home Depot, right? Not
Yeah,
that
it's
I'm
like
trying to get
or
people-
Harbor Freight. It's like $1.
Yeah, it's like $1. Yeah, it's crazy. Or they come up with like a
One of those little
a
hammer
spark plug.
things.
Yeah, I've seen
Or
a spark plug too.
Yeah,
that works too because the ceramic. Are you seeing any trends in the market like Camaros or a particular truck, or have you seen that happen?
Yes.
What
so
he's asking
anything-
if
Yeah.
Ram rear windows are a thing right
I
now.
mean, they are for me, but I don't
Well, that's
know.
what
So
you-
you got yours broken into?
that's what we're-
Did
that's
someone
what
try to
you're
steal your
asking.
truck?
the rear slider. Yeah.
Did someone try to steal your truck?
Yes.
Do you have a TRX?
Yes.
And that's why.
Yeah.
So if you got a TRX, you got a big target on your back, and it's the little centerpiece in the back.
Correct.
Yeah, I've done a handful of those. And then first time, well, here's the first time I hear something, I'm like, oh, they tried to do this, and I'm like, okay. Oh man, they tried to do that. I'm like, I half believe it, and then I see it a couple more times, and then I have people actually explaining in depth the process of how they try to steal the truck. Then I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So anything Mopar, Ram TRX, you got a huge target on your back. But really, anything Mopar is really hot as far as like theft, vehicle theft, even. And then a lot of like Camaros too. Camaros, but
So
like
and
newer
Kias,
Camaros.
right?
Kias? I
Kias?
haven't heard about
No?
Kias.
Okay.
No, they just punch the locks on those and drive them away.
Well, no, they're all key fob replication. Is from what I
well,
understand.
it depends on the year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you
But
see
you
that-
have the cool thing about the Rams is they're pretty profitable for me, those little centerpieces, because one, they're super easy, and two, you call around a bunch of places and they're all like, oh, I don't know if we can do them. You got to replace the whole thing.
So I went
Whereas-
to the dealer and they had to replace the whole window.
And
They
it sat-
don't.
And
They
it's-
don't.
And
Is
it
that
sat
true?
there
No,
for.
they don't. I've done a
like
handful
6
of
weeks.
them, and you just take the centerpiece.
Yeah.
You just undo the wire, the little electronic wire. You clean up all the glass, put the new one in, and you're done.
No way.
So it sounds like your
I
truck
did
didn't
not
need to sit there.
How
Well, hold
much
on
did you
a
pay for that?
My deductible was $500 and the window was $2,000.
Dang.
$2,000.
That's
And they
crazy.
made me do the whole thing. And
Yeah,
I
'cause
wanted
that,
OE glass.
yeah.
And the guy said, no, we have to do the whole thing. Now, I don't know if they inspected it and looked to see if the cable had been messed up, because
It's
the
not
cable
messed
right
up,
now.
no. Because I mean, they're not manhandling the mechanism to the point where, oh man, the cable's messed up. We have to replace it. It's like they just smashed the glass and got in to steal your truck. They didn't sit there and break the whole,
Right.
mechanics.
And you
of it
can
all.
buy just the center section?
Yeah, it's available.
Wow, interesting.
Apparently,
There
our
you go.
glass expert did.
I
Yeah.
waited 40.
And you know
I
what?
waited.
Actually,
I waited
the-
almost 2 months for that glass. They were back
Dang.
ordered. They're still back ordered,
I
according
bet
to the
they are.
dealership.
Yeah, I
they're
bet they
back ordered.
are.
There's so many being busted.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I went, I was like, hey, man, you know what? I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think I can. I'll spend my time and I'll drive out there and I'll see if I can do it. And then sure enough, I kind of looked at it a little bit. I was like, oh, yeah, I got this. Boom. 45 minutes later, he had a new centerpiece. And it was kind of close to that $500 mark. I think it was like around $450 and with the OEM glass. Yeah. Done.
Wow, who knew? Okay.
Yeah.
What else are you seeing truck-wise out there? Are there any particular ones other than the Ram TRX that have targets on them, so to speak?
Not really.
Okay.
No, just the TRX. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's why when you said, hey, is there something about the Ram? I was like, oh, you got a
Yeah,
TRX?
yeah, TRX, yeah.
He's trying to lead you into that. I'm like, let's just go
I know,
right where he's
yeah,
going.
right.
It's just-
I mean, if you,
He's like,
why waste your time? I know exactly what he wants to hear out of
Yeah.
this.
I'm just curious. It sucks.
No,
But,
you're not. You're not curious. You're validating what you already know.
validating what? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. What started the costumes?
oh,
Because
yeah.
you guys, even if you don't live in Southern California, again, give your Instagram handle again.
At SoCal Auto Glass Kings.
SoCal Auto Glass Kings.
Yeah. And we're
Andrew-
on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook.
Everywhere. Perfect. You will instantly find him because you're like, oh, that's the guy in the bear costume. Like, how did that start? I love it. I think it's hilarious. And the fact that you're installing stuff with giant mittens on, or whatever. Or the first one I think I saw you like you were in a tuxedo, then you're in 3-piece suits.
Yeah. So that all started one day. So I'm a Christian. So I actually used to be a drug addict back in the day. Was a drug addict from 13 to 20. I got saved when I was 20 years old, and I gave my life to God, never looked back. So super grateful for that. And I've been sober for 6 years. 6 years
Congrats.
and like a month or so.
What was your drug of choice?
all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my history before that. And the church that I go to, we're Christians, but we like to wear suits, on Sundays, like Sunday's best. So one day I've been working 7 days because for one, I'm kind of crazy. And for two,
You enjoy it.
I enjoy it. Yeah. I enjoy it. But then also like we're still kind of in our first couple of years. So it's kind of like what we're really doing to get the traction moving. And it's really worked. After Sunday one day, someone hit me up for a chip repair. Super simple, like it takes 20 minutes. It's not labor intensive and it won't get me dirty.
So you're saying it's on a Sunday and you're already wearing
I was
your
already
Sunday's
wearing my
best.
suit, yeah, and I
Got
was
it.
like, man, I got more stuff to do. I'm not going to go home and change, just to go do this chip repair. So I just pulled up my suit and I was like, hey, man, I'm here to do your chip repair. And surprisingly, when I pull up in a suit to a job, I don't call them and say, hey, I'm going to record this video in a suit and da-da-da-da-da. I just pull up in a suit and like see how it goes. And like they're always like, okay, here's my keys. Like they don't even question it, which I find is weird.
Sure, I would go. Why are you wearing a suit? Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody ever questions it. I'm just
Especially
like,
when you're
okay,
dressed
cool.
as a chipmunk.
Yeah. Right. Well, that one, thankfully, I was planning. I was like, man, how am I going to do this in a Ted costume? Because
Oh, it was a Ted costume.
Yeah. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then thankfully, it was someone from our ministry that he kind of already knew.
Oh, he knew you.
Yeah.
He
so
knew
then,
your jam, yeah.
So then I was able to do the replacement. And then when he saw me, he was like, what the heck? And I was like, he already knew. Well, yeah. So it was cool. So the first time I went to do the chip repair, and then he goes, man, you guys dress like this at every job? I was like, no. He's like, oh, well, I think it's a really cool uniform. And I was like, oh, thanks. I was like, yeah, I just came from church. So he's like, oh, okay. And then as I was doing the chip repair, it dawned on me, because I was already doing the videos, and I was trying to like think of different dynamic ideas. And I was like, dude, I need to wear my suit and do a replacement, and that's going to be the sickest thing that anyone's ever seen. And sure enough, like people eat it up. Like I actually have one that I have stored because I haven't recorded in a suit all summer because God, that would be horrible.
Because it's so hot out right now.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
So
I live 2 miles from the beach, and he's at my house yesterday, and there's like almost no breeze. And it was like 88 outside, and I like gave him a carton, like a case of water. I'm like, here's like 20 bottles.
felt
Just
so guilty.
Just drink what you need.
yeah. So that was when I had the idea, and I told my wife, I was like, dude, we need to do a windshield replacement in a suit. And then so I had a black suit already that I kind of sacrificed in a sense, but and then one of the things that I get a lot
Did
of
you have
comments
to
on.
tuck your tie in to keep it out of the urethane?
So sometimes I wear a tie clip, and sometimes I just go for it. And then people like, I get a lot of comments like, dude, how did you keep your suit clean? Like, did your tie ever get caught? And I'm like, no, my tie never gets caught, bro. Come on now. Yeah. So and then it's cool because, and then what I ended up doing was, then I bought 3 suits, and then I wrote them all off because they're technically marketing.
Yes, they
right?
are.
So, and then it actually really effective marketing too, because they always generate a ton of attention, ton of engagement, and then we get a lot of followers, and we and then we just been rocking and rolling. So then one of my followers on TikTok was like, dude, you need to do it in a Batman costume, and I was like, what the heck, dude? And then and then for some reason I always wanted to do it. Well, after he said that, then I was like, I never thought of costumes, and then I looked up a Ted costume, and then I saw it, so then I did. But I actually have the Batman costume.
Oh, dude, you got to do that.
So yeah, be looking out for that one. But it's too hot, man. So
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna record that like a couple months.
That's fine. Space them out.
Exactly.
You don't want to do them all at once.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
because I recorded 3 of them all in the same day, and I actually have them all stocked up. I have one left that I have just sitting, because then I posted one like 2 months ago, one a month ago, and then I'll probably post this one probably pretty soon.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
You got to start coinciding with like big film releases, Like, got to be
like hop on like Deadpool or something.
Deadpool,
Yeah,
exactly
that'd be
right.
Cool. That'd be
It'd
cool.
funny. Who's shooting this? Is it your wife? Who's shooting you? Because you can't. It's you. You're actually doing the glass. It's like it's not on the tripod. The camera's moving
no,
around.
his wife
Yeah.
came yesterday.
Oh, is that the deal?
So
Okay.
so wifey helps me out. It was kind of a learning curve with her, but I mean it is with anyone that does anything, And I kind of had to tell her. She was like, "No, I want to do like this." Like, no, like it has to be here. The best shots look center frame. Like I know how I want it to look. I'm just not the cameraman. I'm the glass man. So I have to fully explain to her. And then every time we pull up to a job,
Honey, don't you know the rule
No.
of thirds?
Dude, he needs the license plate glass man.
Oh, you do need
Glass-
glass.
dude, I actually have
Like
a license
Seinfeld.
plate cover. Oh
Dude.
my god! So she actually shot a couple of them, and I was like, dude, we can't even use this. So there was a couple of them we shot, and I was like, this is trash. But she got a lot better. She's actually really good because if you look at the framing and everything on the videos, really really solid shots. Honestly, like she got a lot better. She's really really good. So yeah, that was kind of a learning curve, but yeah. And then every time we pull up to a job, we have at least like one fight. So yeah, that's married.
Yeah, there's a couple
being married,
yesterday.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a
you heard
couple.
that? Oh,
I'm
God,
like,
yeah, I'm
I'm
just
like,
like-
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they're married.
So yeah, they are married.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
okay, for sure. Yeah.
that's not his girlfriend. That's his wife.
Boy, yeah, they're married.
There's
Yeah.
some days where it goes real smooth for like 75% of the job, and then it's like, oh, like we had to have a fight. We almost made it.
Does she come with you on to all the gigs or no?
No.
Okay.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, hey, like there's a car coming up. I really want to film it. A lot of the times, I'll drop it on her same day. We'll wake up and be like, hey, we're gonna film this one, and she really hates that.
Does she not have a job? Like, what's
No,
it?
she runs
works
the
for me.
office.
Yeah,
Oh,
she works
got
for me.
it.
She's the office manager.
You're like, you're
So-
just out in the field today.
Yeah. So she really hates that. I think it's kind of funny. But she really hates
Punishing her,
that. Yeah.
making you, watching you dress up in costume.
All right. Well, if you want to follow our friend Andrew, again, on Instagram, it's at SoCal Auto Glass Kings. And then you guys also have a website. It's SoCal-AutoGlassKings.com. So you can find out about all the work that they do, see the videos, also see the ADAS process. Again, that's freaking huge. That's advanced driver assistance systems, but all the new cars have them. They're being mandated by the government. And so moving forward, having a glass guy that can calibrate that stuff is going to be a must-have.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the marks of quality shop. Just to tack back on that one question you asked, like, what do I look for? I think even if they offer, like how you already noticed, like, oh, he offers it, like that's already something. Yeah. I think that would be something to look for too. Like if they offer ADAS, they take it pretty seriously.
Fantastic.
They do it by the book and stuff. Yeah.
Dude, thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you for having me.
You're an awesome guy.
Thanks for coming to my house twice.
Yeah.
Right? In 2 days.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
I was like, yeah, I finished up your class. I was like, well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, with Holman being out of town for the last couple of weeks, they have amassed, and now it's time to dig into the mail bin.
You email? Yeah. I email? Do it. We email? That's right. Everybody email. Type it up. You email? Proofread. I email? Send it. We email? Click it. Everybody email.
Bum, 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 bum. All right, Holman, you got to divvy those up. You got about 50 email over there. There's no way we're going to be able to read all those on this show. It's just way too much. Truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, or this guy, lightning@truckshowpodcast.com, or that guy over there, Holman@truckshowpodcast.com.
All right, we got one from Rich Humphreys, who tells us he needs a new family ride. He says, Lightning and Holman, the wife and I are in need of a new family wagon, looking for something that will hold the 6 of us and a dog. Needs to tow a 7,000-pound trailer. The wife really wants an entertainment center for the backseat passengers. Do you know if the Ford Expedition will be coming with the Power Boost or any other vehicle? Have something like that. Thank you for the amazing content. Rich, #Diet Dr. Pepper ain't right. #Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
I feel like he shouldn't get Emmy because
Because he hates her Diet
yeah,
Dr. Pepper?
so she'd be like Finnegan.
Yeah, buddy.
By the way, Emmy Hall texted me yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And
And
was it about Dr. Pepper?
no, it was very inappropriate.
Okay.
She says, she sends me a screenshot of a post where somebody was talking about greasing their trailer ball.
Okay.
And
yeah,
she-
I saw that greasing the trailer.
and
ball.
she
saw that just
comments-
yesterday.
And she comments, never in my life have I greased my trailer ball. Other balls, sure, but not the trailers. And then JJ Smokes Tires apparently has a fascination. She writes, effing real? Grease the trailer ball? The jokes write themselves. And I said, solid zing. And she goes, oh my God, JJ Smokes Tires has a crush on me. And I said, lots of people do, mostly because they don't know you like I do. And she says, and all I needed to do was make a joke about grease balls. I said, well, you know what they say, if you make it, they will,
Yes.
dot.
Exactly.
So anyway, that is our friend Emmy Hall. So yeah, it needs to tow a 7,000-pound trailer. You want entertainment? You could look at a Jeep Grand Cherokee L. You could look at a Expedition, Yukon, Tahoe, Grand Wagoneer. You could look at a Toyota Sequoia. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think anything in that
Everything pulls 7,000, right?
Mid to full size SUV range would have an entertainment
What about
center.
Gladi? Oh no, there's no entertainment center. in
No,
Gladiator.
he's looking. Yeah, he says a new family wagon. So I'm assuming he wants an SUV. So yeah, Rich, go look at.
You got a lot of choices.
Look at everything on the market in
Yeah.
that size class,
Okay.
and I think they'll all meet your needs. We appreciate you listening to the Truck Show Podcast.
Truckshowpodcast@gmail.com is where this one came in from Merrick, and he says tips for your trip to Italy. Well, I guess this would just be for me because Holman's not going to Italy, at least that I'm aware of, but I'm going very soon. Just wanted to let you know that my son, the one with the Lego Technics Raptor, and soon the brand new G-Wagon, and I did a similar trip to Italy last year.
Now he's talking about a comment you made about wanting to take your family to Italy.
Yes, that's correct. I'll be going towards the end of September. You won't know because we'll have recorded some episodes in advance. So he says the factory tour and museum at Lamborghini is a must. They visited both Ferrari museums. He toured the Pagani factory, visited the Lambo Museum in Sant'Agata, and it says He says all this is in and around Medina, Italy, and it can be done in 1 to 2 days. 2 days is better. And he says if you drive north, you could visit Stuttgart, see the Porsche and Mercedes museums. Both are amazing. Not just the cars, but also the architecture of the buildings. Mercedes, I guess, looks like something from Star Wars. Hard to explain it. You just have to see it. Also, you can rent a Porsche for a day and take it around the Autobahn. He rented a Cayman S. That sounds crazy. I have been on the Autobahn, and it's bonkers, except I was in a Mercedes S430 with 5 guys. It was nuts. Let's see, if you drive further north, he says you can visit the Nürburgring, which I was also on, and I did rent a lap, so check that off the bucket list. And then just last week, he said he took the Taxi, which is a 640 horsepower BMW M5 CS, which is the competition lightweight one. And the German driver said at the beginning, okay, so first we got to pass these boxes. And then they proceeded to pass about 20 cars, including Porsches, and he felt like others weren't even moving. I did not do that when I was on the Nürburgring because it was on a Sunday and they were closed. They didn't have the taxi service, but that would have been freaking awesome. I heard they're just amazing drivers. He said his son was sitting in the front seat talking to the driver. Needless to say, this was one of the very best experiences ever. Keep those parameters mounted and 5 stars.
So Jeff Stevens emails us, says, the people must know. He says, the people must know. I just saved $40 on a soldering iron kit from Habanero. But it gets even better. The very next day, I was texted a picture of my order ready to ship, and they also include some details about the product. Absolutely unheard of customer service. P.S. Thanks to Holman for the recommendation of the 7.3 Godzilla from Ford. P.P.S. Smoky Mountain Knife Works is offering a special edition ProTech knife currently, which is super awesome. He says 5 3/4 stars.
Wow.
I'll take
I don't
it.
have a jingle for that one.
Okay, well, give him what we do have.
Well, you know what? Leave the 3/4 portion on Spotify where we need more reviews.
There you go.
And the subject line is, you guys made me do it, from Brian Sands. Good morning, gentlemen. I've been a very happy 2007 F-250 6.0 Crew Cab Long Bed FX4 owner for the past 12 years. I've had 0 complaints with the 6.0, and it's treated me very well. And now with 200,000 miles on it. Now that my work needs have changed, I'm looking to downsize to an F-150 to be easier for daily driving and parking. I've been looking at a few different models and thinking about the Tremor model, which I think you guys know that we're fans of. After listening to an episode of you guys talking about the truck, it put me over the edge. So I ordered a brand new 2024 F-150 Tremor with a 5-liter V8, and there will soon be a supercharger in my future. And like lightning, I too live in Long Beach by 2 major freeways and am scared that my new truck will disappear. So I'll be doing some lightning-inspired security features, but not bollards. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Brian from the LBC.
So Jeffrey Brown says, Thunder and Half Woman.
Wow.
Lame. My coworker who drives a Lightning shared with me this photo, which I have to say is my favorite of its kind that I've seen. And apparently it is a Ford F-150 Lightning, and instead of truck nuts, it has enormous wire nuts just on it, which
Those are awesome. The wire nuts
funny.
that you'd use in like
a
home
house.
electrical.
Yeah,
Yes.
except they're giant. They're like
They're like wing
30
nuts, but
times
yeah.
bigger than like a standard one, and they're hanging off the back. So, all right, Jeffrey, I appreciate that. That's a good one.
Wish me luck. 5 stars. Subject line from Tim Brown. Gentlemen, first time writer. You've been an influence since I started listening to you in Maryland before that state told me that I had to repair my decrepit 2002 Ford Explorer Sport in 2021, and when I bought my used 2018 2.7-liter F-150 Crew Cab. At the time, it was a great choice, and still is, for the fuel efficiency when driving in the DMV and now back in Idaho. And the truck is finally paid off. As my family says, a paid-off vehicle is the best kind. It is time for mods before driving from Idaho to Michigan. Replacement JL rear speakers in the mail for Buzzy factory rear speaker. New Line-X liner in the bed. And a roll track is on the way.
Ooh,
Nice.
let me stop you there. Don't forget to go to truckshowpodcast.com to our featured products page, because there is a way to get a rebate through EGR USA by telling them that Truck Show Podcast sent you. So,
And if you're not familiar with the term rebate, that means they send you cash.
yeah.
Yep. Did I also say that I'm going to try that Amsoil mudslinger and glass cleaner? We'll see how good it holds up to the construction dust. With a potential new USA-made Cordova cooler on board, I'll let you know how it all goes on the drive in a few short weeks. maybe in the future, some Expel paint protection. Nice. Take care of yourselves. 5 stars and the good old-fashioned Finnegan, yeah, buddy.
Guess he listens to the show.
5-star review! 5 stars!
Yeah, buddy.
We got this one from Jim. Says, I've had my 2012 GMC 2500 HT for 7 years. I bought it just to tow my Jeep Wrangler, which I don't have anymore, but I do have a mini truck. It has 195,000 miles and has never been apart. And he sent us 2 photos. One is of his regular cad GMC HD, looks like a GMT 900 truck. And he's also got an S10, that looks like the last generation.
It's lowered.
Looks like, well, look at the rear wheels. It looks like it's set up for quarter mile.
Oh, yeah. He's got some, they're not slicks, but they are...
Big, wide, fat tires on, looks like maybe some welds.
No,
on
wait,
that.
it's missing a hood.
Yeah.
So this is going racing.
That thing's cool. I like it.
And this one's from Gregory Vanderpool. Hey, Lightning and Homa, just got this old Jeep from my uncle and got it running. It's a little rusty, but it runs pretty good. It's got a manual transmission and manual everything else. I6 engine and 33-inch tires. And that thing is rusty, but
It's
super
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
That thing is awesome.
It's a patina.
It's a CJ5. That looks like I guess a later one because it's got the high back buckets in it. Oh man, that
Were
thing
those
is so
buckets
cool.
stock?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
kidding. Huh.
Yeah, that thing's awesome. You
It's
definitely
got
see a lot of cancer, but
how about that roll bar? Is that roll bar stock as well? It looks like it sits really high.
yeah, I think that's stock. Yeah, because it's above your head.
How about the tow bar? Is that stock?
Tow bar's not stock, but
Right.
that's how you move it around from place to place.
When it's not running.
I would leave that thing super crusty and ranchy fresh, and then just have somebody do a full mechanical rebuild on it so that it runs and stuff, and then you don't care about it getting scratched because that thing's a beauty.
Yeah, that's a good toy.
And then one final one from our friend Ryan Evans says, I like regular cabs. And what's regular now is crew cabs. So, yeah, I like regular cabs. As for two-door standard cabs, those are my favorite. I think he's saying that even though a crew cab is now a regular cab, that a regular cab is a single cab, and that he still likes the single cabs or standard cab more than he likes crew cabs. That's what I'm getting out of that.
What are you saying?
That's just what I'm getting out of that.
Thank you guys so much for the email. Appreciate it. Truckshowpodcast.com is where most of you tend to send the email, but you can send it directly to me, lightning@truckshowpodcast.com, or to this guy over here, Holman@truckshowpodcast.com.
You know they can't see you pointing at me, right?
I think when I say the words that guy or this guy, they feel me pointing, like through the speakers.
I feel you pointing.
Yeah, I know you do.
You're too close.
Right? Before we hit the jingle, can I give you a present?
Well, then I'm going to feel bad about what I'm going to do before the end of the jingle.
You're going to insult me? somehow?
Probably a little bit. I'm going to insult both of us, though. It's equal opportunity.
Okay.
Which one do you want to do first?
I guess get the pain out of the way first.
All right. So one of my friends posted that apparently you can go to ChatGPT now and ask it to roast your Instagram page.
Yikes.
So immediately,
This is not gonna go well.
I thought this is going to be funny.
So you had it roast my Instagram
I had it
page?
roast both of ours. So I'll start with myself because I went to myself first, and I did 2 for each of us. So this is 2.
No,
okay?
what is the prompt that you put in ChatGPT?
Roast at Sean P. Holman.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's pretty funny. Your Instagram feed is like an overland adventure brochure that's trying a bit too hard to convince us you're the Indiana Jones of off-roading. Between the endless shots of rugged landscapes, vehicles caked in mud, and you gazing off into the wilderness like you're contemplating the meaning of life, spoiler, it's in the Jeep manual somewhere, it's clear that you're the ultimate road warrior. At least you want everyone to think so. But let's be real, your truck probably spends more time posing for photos than actually off the beaten path.
Well, that sounds like me.
That was pretty funny. So then I'm like, okay, let's see if we can do better. So the second one was, Sean, your Instagram is like a midlife crisis wrapped in a truck decal. You've got the off-road vibes down, but we all know those vehicles are getting more pampered than actually push their limits. It's clear you've mastered the art of looking adventurous without ever leaving the comfort of Wi-Fi, which is funny with the Starlink.
Gosh.
Probably saw my Starlink post. For someone who spends so much time around heavy machinery, your posts are surprisingly polished, like you've traded in real grit for Instagram filters.
Oh, my gosh.
That's pretty funny, right?
This is cutting.
All right.
You sure this wasn't written by Jeff Ross, the comedian that goes by Roastmaster General?
Nope. This was written by ChatGPT, which cuts a little too hard. So I, of course, said, well, now I have to know what at LBC Lightning roast
is gonna
would be.
bad.
So the first one Your feed is like watching someone who peaked at being average and decided to document it.
That's awesome.
It's a mix of trying too hard to be hardcore, but ending up just another person with more gear than skill. It's like you're constantly trying to prove something, but the only thing getting convinced is your ego. The only thing striking about your page is how it manages to both be over the top and underwhelming at the same time.
Oh, that's accurate. Oh, that's cool.
Or the second one.
Yeah.
At LBC Lighting's feed is like watching someone overcompensate for something we can't quite put our finger on. With every post, it's as if you're trying to prove you're the baddest in the game, but the only thing you're really proving is that you've got a lot of free time on your hands. Your attempts at being edgy are about as shocking as a static charge. Lots of build-up for a whole lot of nothing.
Nah.
If this is what lightning looks like, I'll stick with the sunny day.
Nah, you know what? That is...
This is funny.
That's a fortune cookie thing. You know, when they're just kind of like generic. I
Maybe.
didn't feel like... The first one was a little... Like it actually scrubbed my post a little bit.
All right. How about roasting the At Truck Show podcast?
Oh.
At Truck Show Podcast is like listening to two gearheads who got lost on their way to becoming professional banterers. The show is basically a nonstop flex of truck trivia mixed with dad jokes that should have stayed in the garage. It's the podcast equivalent of that guy at the car meet who talks way too much about his mods, but conveniently leaves out the fact that his truck hasn't seen dirt in years. If you're looking for groundbreaking insights, you're better off digging through your glove box.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah. So anyway,
Holy mackerel.
that was what ChatGPT thinks of us.
Wow.
I thought that was
Took
funny.
a couple of layers of skin off us. Just
Yeah, well,
now.
that's okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit after roasting us. And I'm going to give you a couple of gifts. Our buddy at Habanero Cordless Heating Tools sent over some gifts for y'all.
So apparently our listeners have bought a freaking metric crap ton of habanero cordless heating tools.
While you're opening this and I'm unpacking this one for you, I want you guys to know that if you're hearing this and it's still August, 40% off the cordless heating tools. 40% off. Not 10, not 20, not 30. 40% off. Okay, now what you're seeing here, Holman, is you did not expect this one.
Okay.
This tool you're holding...
I didn't expect any of this.
Okay,
So.
the tool that you're holding right now is designed for bonding plastic.
Oh, this is the... because I see the plastic rivets or the staples that you weld into.
Correct.
Oh, that's
So you've
cool.
got, and you'll see the long pieces of plastic in different bags down there.
Yep.
You've got polypropylene, you've got ABS, you've got
Nice.
melamine, you've got all bunch.
Well,
so you
that's
can
pretty cool.
bond to a bumper if you've got a crack in your roof or whatever it is. You've got all the tools to do that there.
And this has the tip where you can feed in the material from one end while it's heating from
while
the other
it's
end.
melting and like a syringe at the
That's
other side.
cool.
The other tool right there is where you put the staples into it.
So was this a just a thank you for...
This was a thank you because we blew them away. You guys were freaking awesome. So we're the beneficiaries of you guys
That's really cool.
buying a lot of products from Habanero Cordless Tools. So we're really tickled pink, as they say. Here's the one that we talked about right there.
Yep.
That is your Diablo soldering iron.
And I
right
like
there.
the way it feels in the hand. It's even got the little detents for your fingers. So that's
Correct.
cool.
And
Awesome.
let me show you something cool. So, it's got the safety, but check this out, Holman.
Yep.
If you take it like this and put it right there in
Yep.
the box,
It holds
stand
it.
straight up,
Yep.
so you can solder with the soldering iron like
On.
in its upright
Yeah.
position, and you can maneuver
Move
the
the
wires
wires
over
around
it, so you don't have to
That's
hold the
cool.
soldering iron. Yeah, man, it's really, really pumped. So thank you guys so much for supporting our guests.
Well, and everybody who's gotten one of these things has told us so far that they love it because we've had quite a few of you email us and say, "Wow, this if you solder, if you like electricity, if you like doing all that kind of stuff, this is like the best tool that we've ever found."
Again, if you're hearing this in it's still August, the code is still good, and that secret code is Lightning. So if you use Lightning at checkout, 40% off at Habanero Cordless Tools. Just Google it. It'll pop right up. TruckShowPodcast@gmail.com is where you're going to send that email to us. TruckShowPodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit Holman at TruckShowPodcast.com, or this guy right here, Lightning at TruckShowPodcast.com.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
And you can follow Lightning and his viral videos at LBC Lightning, or you can find me at Sean P. Holman, or you can find the podcast at Truck Show Podcast. And please think about leaving us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app or even on Spotify. It definitely helps with our visibility and people being able to find us. And don't forget at truckshowpodcast.com, you can find any local events going on in your area. You can submit those by emailing us, Or you can find out any of the discounts that we have on featured products, or if you're an EGR customer, get your rebate. All the information for getting a Truck Show Podcast rebate if you bought a roll track or if you bought fender flares or any of the other stuff from EGR are right there on truckshowpodcast.com.
And you can see what it actually looked like. Oh, hold on, I didn't tell you that. Oh, I'm going to kill the music. This is too funny.
You killed the music last week.
Yeah, no, it's my thing now.
No, you stop doing that. It messes me up. I like having that long fade.
Yeah. But this is so one of the guys thanked us for the habanero. He bought it. He was super happy. He was giving me a review. I'll read it next time. And he says, "Oh, by the way, I went on your website to get the info, the website stuff, and it's like I saw your picture." He goes, "Now I know where you're on radio." He goes, he had no idea what we look like. So there are a lot of you that are like, I wonder what Lightning looks like, because you don't follow us on Instagram, whatever. And Holman's got all those pictures of his Jeep, but not him, because he's like making up for something. You can see what we look like at truckshowpodcast.com. Right there. I'm the dude on the right. Holman's the dude on the left.
Or in different pictures, we're in different places.
I'm saying on the main picture when you go like, oh, that's what they look like. It's a big letdown. I'm not going to lie.
I was going to say, don't meet your heroes.
It's a big letdown. But
kind of like this show.
There we are. Yeah.
Well, you know what is not a letdown, and that's our friends over at Nissan, who are the presenting sponsor of the Truck Show Podcast. They've got that brand new 2025 Nissan Frontier on the way to dealerships now, so you can get a deal on the 24, or wait a couple months and get your butt into the comfortable zero-gravity seat of the 25 model. You can build and price your Nissan Frontier. You can find out all about it, and you can experience all the different features by going to nissanusa.com or down to your local dealer.
And it's not often that you can buy a performance part for your diesel pickup truck that actually makes the part that you bolt it to last longer. Such is the case with the new Monster Ram for the 2017 to 2024 Duramax L5P. The Monster Ram is a turbo inlet. It bolts right to the compressor. And it not only improves throttle response, it drops the shaft speed. And if the shaft is moving slower, it spins fewer times over the life of the truck, and it lasts longer. You're welcome. Go to bankspower.com to buy yours.
And speaking about lasting longer, AMSOIL synthetic lubricants are exactly what you need for your truck. And AMSOIL makes it really easy to do an oil change, because you can go to AMSOIL.com and you can order up an oil change kit that comes with the oil that you need, nitrile gloves, a funnel, the correct oil filter, and it even comes with that little tiny oil change sticker that comes in the corner of your windshield, so you can guess at your next oil change interval when the UV fades the pen after your year of it sticking up there, because AMSOIL also has extended oil change intervals. The other thing AMSOIL has is a ton of different lubricants and car care products. It's not just oil, it's synthetic everything. Go to AMSOIL.com and pick out the products that'll make your truck last longer and look better.
And speaking of making your truck look better, head over to EGRUSA.com to find fender flares, VSL lights that are great for off-roading, window visors, hood guards, body side moldings, cab spoilers, sport bars, underseat storage, and roll track tonneau covers. EGRUSA.com has the very best upgrades for your truck.
Since I'm not feeling creative about some funny, hilarious out, I am going to cede that responsibility of coming up with a way to bookend the show by heading over to ChatGPT, and I am going to say, create an ending for the Truck Show Podcast in one paragraph.
There's no way this is going to go well.
And here's what it says.
Okay.
And that wraps up another episode of the Truck Show Podcast. Whether you're wrenching on your ride or dreaming about your next overland adventure, we hope you found some inspiration, a few laughs, and maybe even a tip or two to take away with you. Keep those trucks dirty, the stories epic, and don't forget to tag us in your latest build or off-road escapade. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. See you on the trails.
Dude, that was painful.
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis with production elements by DJ Omar Khan. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and give us a 5-star rating. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to show your support than by patronizing our sponsors.